there's something that I remember learning when I was a teacher. I remember there's a type of teaching philosophy, and I don't think you really need to be a teacher to understand this. I think anyone who really has any kind of interaction with young people understands this when you really see it in practice. If you look at a child and you see that sometimes, for whatever reason, some children, they do things they're just not supposed to do. Right? For whatever reason. Sometimes maybe they're being rebellious, maybe they just don't know how to keep themselves calm, so they might just act out, they might say things, blurt things out, or they just have too much energy, so all they want to do is just run around in circles, or do something. Sometimes they'll do something, they might cause an accident, they might knock something over. I really don't think that any child does anything intentionally to cause destruction. Now, when something bad like that happens, you notice that, educational theory, or that's not education theory, it's more like child psychology kind of tells you you can go in one of two directions. And one direction, I think, is very common for us a lot of times because we react emotionally when something bad happens. And that negative emotion sometimes makes us react in a negative way. And so when you continuously react to something like that negatively, it has a negative effect on the child. And what I mean is, like, say, if you always think that if the way we scold a child is to say, you're always breaking something, you're always doing this, you're always doing that. Why are you always doing this? And it's almost a negative way of, there's a word for it, it's like nagging, right? There's a negative way of just continuously saying, why are you always doing this? You always do this. You always mess up. You always fail. You always break something. Why do you always do this? And that idea that whenever we keep saying, you always do this, it kind of hits a switch in the mind of the child, especially at these young ages, the very, very young ages that we take for granted. Because oftentimes when you look at a young child, I mean like a tender age child or a toddler, and you think of them, you really look at them and you observe them, you take it for granted that there's a lot really going on with them. Most of these little children are very observant, and their brains are developing very, very fast. And so you might just think that a little kid is just babbling on about some nonsense or just playing some silly game or something. But every interaction that a child, especially the young children, have, every interaction they have, all their little life experiences they have, things happen. They start making connections in their brain. They start realizing things. They start using, they start making patterns out of the world. And so with young children, if we continuously are negative with them, and you use terminology like, you're always doing this, you're always doing that, why are you always doing this? Why can't you do better? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? And when we say things like that, especially to the younger children, what happens is there's like a switch that turns in their heads that almost expects them, that they pretty much believe that they're what? They're always going to be bad. In their mind, they almost expect it. They're like, well, that's what they say. I guess that must be true. Because think about it, especially when there's a relationship between a child and a parent, right? The relationship between a child and parent is what? If you could summarize in one word, what is it? How would you relate? You could summarize, I guess, the relationship between the child and the parent from the child's perspective, at least. Let's look at that from the child's perspective. That's different than that child's relationship with anybody else. What do you think? What's one word? We're all children at one point, right? I think, right? Huh? Someone says love. Okay, love is a good example, right? What else? Trust. That's what I was thinking about, right? There is love there, and that love is, children show love in a great, great way. And there's many aspects of love, right? It's like the overarching, like the umbrella term for love. But one very specific thing is trust, right? Children, especially young children, they'll trust their parents, right? They know from that young age, the moment they're born, that it's my parents that feed me, It's my parents that change me. It's my parents that keep me warm. It's my parents that are supposed to comfort me. So they have this trust that just naturally develops. And so when this person who holds that much trust over the child continuously uses negative reinforcement, negative language on that child, what is that child going to do? The child naturally trusts the parent. So if the parent's saying, I'm always doing these bad things, I'm always this, I'm always that, what is the natural reaction for the child to do? To believe it. Because the person who trusts me, the person who I trust more than anybody else in the world, is telling me these things. So then, these educational psychologists, these child psychologists say, how about if we kind of reverse that a little bit? Let's kind of flip that a little bit on the other side. And rather than seeing, you see negative behavior and continuously, what we say, harp on the negative behavior, or continue to dwell on that negative behavior, rather what we call of redirecting them into something that's more positive. And when you see them doing something good, then what do you do? Huh? Encourage it more, right? Give them that, even we call it like rewarding them for when they do something good. And recently we went to San Antonio, and it was kind of confusing because both Dutchess are from Texas, and most recently we both went to San Antonio. But last week when our family went, we went to SeaWorld. SeaWorld, right? They're kind of closed down. And they used to be very strict and very harsh with their animals, and they had a lot of bad publicity. But lately they kind of changed a lot of things. They changed a lot of the way that they train. And one of the big ways that they train their animals is very similar to, they kind of looked at child psychology the same way. And they looked at what works in child psychology, and they said, okay, let's train the animals in the same way. When an animal, by its own nature, was doing bad things, being destructive, one of the things that they did was they just ignored it. Showed displeasure by ignoring the behavior, by ignoring the child altogether. Because a lot of times what children want more than anything else, and what these animals want, the same thing is what little children want more than anything else, is attention. They want the attention of their parents, right? They want the attention of whoever's there. They want to be listened to. So when a child does a bad thing, and all you do is look at them every time they do a bad thing, what does that mean in the mind of the child? The only way I can get my parents' attention is if I do something bad. But rather flip it the opposite way. When they do something bad, you pretend they're not even there. But when they do something good, you almost over-exaggerate the reward for doing something good. That's kind of how they train these animals. And it's the exact same way that a lot of these child psychologists say, we interact with children. Much the same way. That when they do something good, you give them a great reward for doing something good. And you give them all this attention for doing something good. But when they do something bad, you have to scale that back down. So that they know that what they want is the reward, what they want is the affection. Now that's a very long explanation for something I was going to talk about in the gospel. Because I want to give you a bit of background of what I was going to talk about. So that's child psychology 101 right there for you, okay? So yeah, that's like first semester of teaching right there, okay? So the thing is here, the apostles are like children. And oftentimes we know that Christ often calls them children. Why does he call them children? Is Christ that much older than them? If anything, Peter was older than Christ. We know that. He was the oldest of all the apostles. They're probably all around the same age, so why does Christ call them children? Children are still learning. Perfect. Children are still learning. They're still growing. They have much more to achieve in their lives. They're still becoming the adult they're meant to be. These disciples are much in the same way children when it comes to faith. We are children when it comes to our faith. Because we're still maturing. It takes a great deal of struggle, a lifelong struggle, to mature into the spiritual adult that we're supposed to be. So Christ looks at all of us and calls us children. And they are. And so here we know this is the story of Christ feeding 5,000 people. And that's a great miracle, and we're all very well aware of it. But what I want to focus on specifically is this idea of the apostles. When the apostles are out of the genuineness of their heart, they say, Christ, it's getting kind of late. We've been here all day. It's starting to be evening. We're in the desert. It's a deserted place. These people need some food. Why don't you send them back to the villages so they can eat? They're very concerned about these people. Right? Christ said, no, don't send them away. Instead, give them whatever you have. And you got to think what's going through the mind of the apostles. These guys are like, what did he just say? There's at least 5,000 men here, not including women and children. And he wants us to give them, what do we have? We have here 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. If you imagine these baskets, you know, how many baskets do you think 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish can fit into? How many baskets? She's jumping ahead of me. At the end of the story, there's 12 baskets left over. But I'm saying, how many baskets could 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish fit into? How many do you think? Throw a number out. Huh? It's 1. 5. When I'm saying 5 loaves of bread, I'm not talking about like Pepperidge Farm loaf of bread or Sara Lee or something like that. I'm talking about like a loaf of bread for them. It's like a little thing like this. You have like 5 of these and 2 pieces of fish. It's probably going to fit in 1 basket. So already they're starting with just a little bit, right? And then Christ tells them, you know what? You can do more than what you realize. A lot of times we've been told all our lives, you know, we're not good enough, you can't do anything. We just kind of expect it. We have no expectation. But Christ is telling us, you know what? I'm here to blow away your expectations. I'm here to let you know that no matter what the world thinks of you, I'm going to show you even something better. So Christ says, I will take your weaknesses. In that case, it's a weakness. They have no food to give these 5,000 people. It's a weakness for them. And he takes that weakness and says, okay, let's take what little bread and fish you have. He blesses it and then gives it back to the disciples. And then they give it to all the people. So it's not even that Christ himself is going to give the bread and the fish out. He's like, I know, you guys just watch this, watch what I do. And then gives it to everybody. He doesn't do that, right? He goes back and takes their weakness, shows them that weakness that they perceive is nothing, and then gives it back to them and says, okay, now I want you to be empowered to go feed these people, to do something better, to do something you didn't even think was even possible. And that's what he does. And so they then distribute the bread and the fish. At the end of the meal, they take up all the remnants, the pieces back left over, and now they have 12 baskets. What probably could fit into 1, maximum 2 baskets, is now filling up 12 baskets. Because Christ is there to show us that he's going to bless us much more exceedingly. There's a Bible verse, much more exceedingly, much more abundantly than we can ever imagine. And Christ is showing us, a lot of times we've been beaten down by this world, but Christ is telling us, like those little children, if all we focus on is what we cannot do, and our failures, and we're never going to focus on what we can do and what we can achieve. And Christ is showing that you can achieve greater things that are physically impossible to think about in this world. How can 1 basket of food have 12 baskets left over? How can Christ take these very uneducated fishermen and make them be ministers to the world and spread them out to all the world? So then how is Christ going to take us? We're all much more educated than those fishermen. We have much more abilities than all of them did when Christ first found them. Now the rest of it is upon us to say, Christ, transform me. Christ, transform me as you transform the apostles. Lead me to where you want me to go. Empower me to do these things that you want me to do. That's what Christ is doing. He takes their weakness and then turns it into a strength, and then gives them that empowerment to go fulfill their gospel mission. And that's exactly what Christ wants us to do. But a lot of times, like I said, we're children and we think that we can't do anything because for some reason we've been told that we can't. But Christ is a different type of parent. He's encouraging us, giving us that positive encouragement, and saying you can do so much more than you realize. With my help, you can do so much more than you realize. And not only that, he gives us that blessing, and then he sends us out to do all the work, to show us that we can do so much more than we realize. We know that in the story of the apostles when they were called, we know that in the story of the 72 apostles when they were called, did the exact same thing. What did they do? Christ took these ordinary men and then gave them the ability to do what? Very quickly, they sent them out, and what were they supposed to do? Go to all these places and do what?
Spread the gospel.
Spread the gospel, but also by doing what? He said, not only that, preach the gospel, prepare the way for me, but also when you go to every town, what are you supposed to do when you get there?
Heal the sick.
Heal the sick. He gave them this ability to just heal. He gave them the ability, some power that they didn't have before. He takes whatever weaknesses we have and he turns into strength. As long as we rely on that, Christ will empower us to fulfill the gospel mission, whichever way is fit for us. He knows our weaknesses and he knows our strengths. And he knows how we, in our own ways, can fulfill the gospel mission. That's the message of this gospel for today, for us to look back and say, Christ, transform me like he transformed the apostles. Transform me like he transformed this bread and this fish. So that I may be blessed exceedingly and abundantly much more than I could have ever imagined. And then Christ will empower us and send us out to do that mission. All praise and thanks to the blessed Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and always and forever and ever.